we get started, we'd like to thank our sponsors. We have Primo's Ice Cream, and you can use discount code TOT for 10% off your first purchase on Grubhub, or mention the podcast in store for a free baby cone. Also, Off the Tracks Recording for any of your podcasting or recording needs. Whether you're just beginning or a seasoned veteran, Off the Tracks can help you at an affordable price. This is Not Your Typical Sports Podcast, and I am your host, Tiffany Georgakopoulos. This week we're going to be talking about women in sports media, and I have three lovely guests with me. I have
I'm a
George.
man, and
George Kopoulos.
I'm going to be speaking about women on this podcast, so I'm going to do my best, guys. I hope you enjoy.
We have Haley.
Hi.
And Allie.
Hi.
So basically, we're talking about women in sports media this week because it's a serious topic. There's not really a lot of women compared to men. I mean, when you watch sports, compare, how many women do you see to men, like ratio-wise?
So is there a percentage on any of that, like women to men in the media field, or no?
It was 12% of women out of everybody, for every job. So this is like newspapers, actual broadcasting, editors.
So women only make up 12% of that then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you see that when you're watching?
So I watch ESPN, and I feel like they do a really good job of bringing girls in, but I feel like they're the only really big, sports provider that does that.
You watch soccer a lot, right?
Yes.
Do you see a lot of women reporting on soccer at all?
No, not the men's soccer games, no.
What about baseball?
Yeah, there's one that I can think of. I think her last name's Mendoza.
Yeah, see, so there's only one, and you don't even really know her name, so...
I think there could be better involvement of girls in the field. If they can find more girls to do the job that are knowledgeable, then I think they should, actively pursue it better than they have been.
I think it's really important for the girls to make sure they know what they're talking about, because there's that stereotype that girls don't know much about sports, not as much as men do. So I think that it's really important for them to be able to portray everything and talk about everything correctly.
You like basketball, right?
Yeah.
And do you see a lot of women reporting on basketball, men's and women?
I don't know.
I
see
think
more
there's
men.
Doris
Yeah.
Burke. I believe her name is Doris Burke, and she's one of the bigger names. She's a huge broadcaster, and she does an excellent job. A lot of people respect her, and but there isn't really anybody else like her, and she's one of one, I believe, and she does a brilliant job. I think she's a pioneer for women in the media field.
Haley, anything about this? What sport do you like?
Well, I was really going to say I really don't think it's about the image. I feel like if you have a passion or drive for sports and you have somewhat of an idea about what they're doing or how the scoring system is, you are able to at least have some knowledge about it. And if guys or anybody are going to judge you on that, it's not fair.
A lot of the times, when we're talking about image, it's a lot harder for women because a lot of their image is about their looks and what they're wearing. And a lot of the times, especially with women in sports media, because we're going to do a mean tweet segment, you'll be able to see that they're sexualized a lot, and they're really only looked at not for their sports knowledge, but based on what they're wearing.
That's fair, but I believe let's level the playing field. If a girl can do it, let her do it. If a guy kind of isn't so good at it, maybe fire him and give somebody else a chance. That's one thing that I've noticed in the media field. ESPN, these guys have been around forever, and you listen to Fox guys, it's the same guys since you've been watching, and they might not be the greatest yet. They have the longest leash of anybody. They never get fired or anything.
Yeah, and that's completely true. And a lot of the times it's the men have these longer jobs because for women at least, their average like lifespan in sports media is only 10 years, and that's because a lot of the times they're driven from this career because of all of the inequalities or because of all of the discrimination from them. Like, their opinions are very undervalued.
Yeah, I mean, being a guy, I can attest to sometimes I fall into that too. I can only imagine some 60-year-old dude, not knowing the right way of doing things, just saying, "Oh, she's a girl. What does she know?" And that's probably their biggest market for at least the MLB. Middle-aged men, and they're not going to want to listen to girls. I feel like, and I feel like it's a broader problem maybe than just the media agencies.
I mean, it has to do with fans, and it also does have to do with the institutions. Like
Do you think one is worse than the other, the fans or the institution?
I mean, it's hard because the institution kind of feeds into what the fans do. A lot of the men do comment on their looks and their cleavage and stuff, and the men who are managers, they like tell women like, you need to do this, and there was actually a case. There's a lot. I mean, not all of them are recorded because not a lot of women feel like they're safe enough to come forward and say that because they're scared to lose their jobs, because that happens. But, there are a lot of cases. A lot of women are speaking out more about it, like Sarah Spain. She said in order to produce and write and host her first, story, her major, it was her own content. She produced it. She hosted it. She had to wear a low-cut shirt. That was the agreement. Like, you have to do this. And a lot of the times, like, people will say, like, well, women, that's their fault because they're doing it. But how else can they advance in their career if that's what they're saying? Like, you can only do this if you wear this shirt.
Yeah. I mean, that's not right.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of men, they can produce and write their own content. They're not told, like, oh, make sure your abs are showing.
In Sarah Spain's case, that's completely unfair and not right.
About like the institutions and the fans, I feel like institutions are what driving the fans to judge females to be who, like, how to stipulate like what they wear and all that. Um, I feel like the common word girls don't or women don't know like anything is so unfair, and it needs to stop because there's so many women that know so much about sports and are driven by like being able to talk about sports, but they're drawn away because of the stipulation. And if they can drill past it, it would be really great to see more women being able to talk, and seeing like an ESPN, if they do a great job about it, but that's the only like source that you really see. No one else does it.
Like, Allie, so if you had a job and they told you, like, you can only do this if you wore revealing clothing, I mean, like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's like really unfair because obviously, like you said before, they're not telling guys to like show their abs or anything, and like just like sexualizing women, and it's just like, am I just getting the job because I'm giving people like what they want, like it's not like based off kind of like my knowledge and like my credibility and everything.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, a woman's there to do her job. She wants to, be there to talk about sports. And when she's not recognized for talking about sports like any other person is, and only for what she's wearing, I mean, it becomes frustrating because it's like, she's trying to give her knowledge, her like analysis of things, and really all people can do is talk about what she's wearing, how her boobs look, how her legs look, and it's just frustrating. So, while we're on the topic of this, I did pull up some mean tweets, and it was about all of the women sportscasters out there, and they do include examples of how they're sexualized, how they're undervalued, all these things we're talking about, and it's all about all different kinds. So we have one that says, I'm still curious as to that whole nude Erin Andrews leaked hotel footage. Y'all really think someone put the time to record her naked, or did she leak the footage herself to give her career a rocket start? So here's a perfect example. Like, people aren't saying she got this career because she's doing a great job. They think it was kind of like a Kim Kardashian thing, like, oh, she leaked this and this is the only reason why she has her job right now.
And that one's very erroneous as well, because Erin Andrews was already on a huge platform before all that happened. and that would have done nothing but, I believe, sink her, career if she would have, quote unquote, did it herself. I just think that's a very ridiculous thing to say.
And it's not acknowledging like her talent and how she's able to actually go out here and make a name for herself. They're saying like, no, it was just your naked body, like nothing else. They're not giving her any credibility whatsoever. Another one, this is where like the sexualization comes in. Someone said, I would fuck Rachel Nichols, and then someone responded and said, throw Michelle Beadle in there too. You have one that said, got rid of that fraud Michelle Beadle and instantly got better. Pierce is still a suspect though. That was about Michelle Beadle losing one of her jobs. And like here's where the terminology comes in, where we're like taking away their value and saying that they don't really know the knowledge because they're saying fraud. Like that's basically saying like she didn't really know what she's talking about, you know. We have another one. Kristen Ledlow asks the worst fucking questions to players. It's gross that she still has a fucking job. Kristen Ledlow makes every single interview so fucking cringe. Another one was figured out what I dislike about Kristen Ledlow. She's fake as hell. She's not reporting or interviewing. She's acting. It's too much. So that's another case where someone's saying like she doesn't know what she's doing. She's acting. She's pretending.
Well, I think that like when someone goes or like a reporter goes to interview a player or anything, I feel like some questions are just baseline. Like some of them are just like questions that like there's just like an outline of what you're supposed to talk about. So I feel like them like criticizing like the questions she asked the players like not really fair because I'm sure like if it was a guy asking like the players, they wouldn't have said the same thing.
Of course, because
Well,
a lot of the times they're told what to say as well. Like
that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. Is they don't just go up there and wing it. They're told what to say. They're never gonna just go up there and wing it, unless you're the best interviewer of all time.
Yeah.
And even then, they have certain guidelines. Like, hey, you have to ask this question.
Moving on to Julie DeCaro. She is a Chicago sportscaster for 670. So 670 just tweeted and said that the phone lines were open for her, and then somebody responded and said, she's so annoying, barf. Another person said, thanks for the heads up, I will change the channel. Someone added Ben Finfer and said his career is in such shambles because he's going on with Julie DeCaro.
So I like Judy DeCaro, especially like if these guys are listening to 670 and they deal with Bernstein and they don't want to listen to Judy DeCaro. That's absurd because Bernstein is the worst, most opinionated, loudmouth, annoying person there is. Like, I don't like him.
Well, especially I feel like Julie's gotten a lot of like heat for things. So she's been covering Chicago sports for a long time now, and when the Patrick Kane rape accusations came up, she had to cover that. She didn't say that she thought he did it or anything. It was just her job to report any facts, any updates, anything. And she got a lot of, she got death threats. People told her she was going to rape her because of that, because she's a woman, because they thought, like, since she's a woman, she's automatically going to say he did it. But she wasn't saying that. She was just covering, like, whatever updates they were getting. But because she's a woman, they thought that she automatically took a stance against him.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Like, do you guys think if a guy was to, report on the case, not even take, I think he did it, I don't think he did it, do you think, he would receive the same hate?
No.
No.
I wanted to spend some time on Molly Querom. I also have some mean tweets to her. She's on First Take, and somebody said, stop ruining First Take, and added her.
Which, by the way, First Take, those guys, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, they need to get it together. They're crazy.
They're always arguing, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the gimmick of the show. She's a very good segue between the two, and I just don't like them.
Here's another thing. If Molly Querom didn't fuck Jalen Rose, she would have been fired years ago. I've never had to listen someone more annoying, and she just repeats everything Stephen A. and Max say. Like, get the fuck out. So, there's another thing. Like, they're saying that she only has her job because she's married to an ex-athlete.
So they're using fame against her? That's not fair. I mean, with people, like, even with the other two guys, people say that they're annoying. So if she's a good sports
They
media,
are annoying.
if she's doing a good job, just let her do her job. It's shouldn't be about who she's married to, what's her status. It should be if she knows her stuff, let her just work.
Yeah, 100%. Because this shows a perfect example of it as well. Because Max Kellerman was a boxing broadcaster. He always covered boxing. Very controversial. If you have seen the guy, he's never stepped in a ring. Never will he. If he got punched in the face, he'd probably die. But they respect him for some reason, and then they gave him this job on First Take to comment on all sports for I don't know why. I don't know what he knows or what he thinks he knows, but I don't know why he has the job, and there could be someone more qualified, and I don't know why we're not looking, to other people because there's some very not. I like Sarah Spain. She's an ESPN broadcaster. Maybe give her the job, or Mina Kimes, give her the job. She's very smart, But that's the thing is Max is underqualified, and you don't hear anybody say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that men don't get hate at all. Like, obviously, anybody in the public spotlight is. But I did search Max Kellerman, and I also did search Stephen A. Smith to see, what kind of mean tweets are there about them. And honestly, I was struggling to find any about them. Like, when I searched all these women that I did the mean tweets with, I found them right away. They were all consecutive. I didn't see any about Stephen A. Smith. I'm sure there are some out there. However, there's no really recent ones. There was like one or two about Max, but it wasn't like to the extent against women. Like it did say like get him out of here, but it wasn't like anything like.
I mean, they didn't say anything like "I'm gonna rape you."
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
crazy. Like that's just crazy.
And that's the whole point. And it's like, how come it's so hard to find anything like people tweeting at these men? And even if they do, it's not right in any aspect at all.
No.
But it's just to show like the constant berating of women in sports media.
So I think we've gotten our point across as to the unjust and the unfairness of everything that's going on with women and the media side of sports. I guess what I can ask you all, because you're all women here, I'm a man. I could probably, those Barstool guys are clowns, and they have been put on a pedestal. And any guy can just go out there and talk about sports because I'm a dude and I know. What do you think moving forward in the future? How can you guys even the playing field? Because 12% is not enough.
No.
I can understand 40-60 on the low end 30-70, but 12% is not nearly enough.
No. Well, I did actually speak to Julie DeCaro through email. I asked her input on things. She said that something that really helped her, like to give advice to people, was if you do enter the field of sports media and you're a woman, she says to surround yourself with other women because it's actually really helpful. Like they know the struggle that you're going through. She says, if you think about leaving, because she says she knows women who've left because of this. She says she knows women who have had to go to therapy because of the constant hate that they get. She says, but if you think about leaving, like, you need to be that voice for women in sports media. Like, you need to think about things like that. You have to change things from within. It's not going to get better if women keep leaving. It's not going to get better if women don't keep entering, So I think it's really important for women to kind of take their stance, and I think it is a smart idea to surround yourself with other women because a lot of people would think, well, like as Julie said too, she said that we're taught to think of other women as competition, but when you're entering a field like this, you can't really think in that way.
I agree with that 110%. I also feel like as years go by, I feel like more women are slowly going to get out of their shell and finally take their stand. But if we surround ourselves with the same mindset and being able to not think as men as superior as us and think of them as an equal, I feel like that would make it such an even playing field for us.
And I think that's the problem is when, we talk about women trying to get equal, like a lot of people think that we're trying to get above men, but it's not at all. We just want to be looked at as equal. We want to get the same opportunities, the same positions. We're not trying to steal anybody's job. If we're, more qualified, if we do the job better, then, we should get that promotion over, because that's what Julie said. She said, I see all these people, and she said, I'm not trying to put myself up there, but I see these mediocre people, and they get the promotions over me, but just because they're male.
Could it be that, or because women are usually nicer than men? Guys look at it cutthroat. He goes, I don't care if you succeed. I don't care if you succeed. I'm going to throw whoever in front of the bus as long as I can do that. Do you think if women took that approach as well, that they can do some of the things, or no?
I mean, I think anybody looks at it as cutthroat. I mean, Julie said that. She said, this is a cutthroat.
But she didn't say that she was willing to, do whatever. Like, she has a lot of respect for people, and I like that. I think it should be that way. But do you think if females took the same approach, the same mindset as men, as I don't care who's in my way, nobody's stopping me, do you think that they would get more jobs maybe?
I mean, it really depends, I guess. Like, I don't know if that is actually how it happens. Like, if that's how people get their promotions or not. So
More times than not, yeah, in any industry.
Then, yeah, I mean, a woman should do that. But then a lot of the times when a woman does say that, like, they're labeled as a bitch or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. It's gonna get beeped out. But the B word, like, the B word is such like a crazy thing, and it's just like thrown about, like, and if a girl sticks up for herself or does anything, they're just called that word, and it's just very hard because they're just trying to do what's best for them. And you shouldn't have to worry about, people saying mean, nasty things to you just because you're trying to better yourself or have a good career.
Yeah, Allie, going into the sports media profession, sports marketing, like, how do you feel about, like, going into that? Like, are you scared? Is there anything that you think you want to do different now?
Well, I'm going into sports marketing, so I won't be like, like how we were talking about before, where like the reporter had to like wear a low cut shirt, in order to like produce or whatever the situation was. So I think that I'd be like on a different side of it, so I wouldn't have to deal with all of like the sexualization and the criticizing and stuff.
I think one thing you're gonna have to deal with is, well, she's a girl. How's she gonna know how to market my sport?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go into, is that I feel that people will kind of go towards guys when they're going into sports marketing, because once again, like, like the stereotype that guys know more about sports and everything, and I feel like that will be hard for me, like being able to put myself out there and like put myself in front of like the situation and like get my point across and like make sure that I'm involved in everything.
That's fair.
As much as the guys are.
That's fair.
Well, that's all the time we have today. I want to thank my guests, George,
Peace.
Haley,
Bye.
and Allie.
Bye.
Thank you so much for speaking about this important topic and, having some laughs. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Chicago Bears.
Bear down, baby.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot going on with the Bears right now. A lot with Mitch Trubisky.
And Mitch we trust.
Yeah, so next week we're going to talk about them.
We love Mitch.
Yeah, we are Chicago people. So, yeah, please join us next week for talking about the Bears. Thank you.